And welcome into the Panther Pride. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, filling in for Chad Barnett, who's taking some well-deserved time off. I'm in with head coach Jeff Smith of the Wellborn Panthers. Are doing well, doing well. We've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
Happy to be on this show with you, and happy also, number one, for being off a great win in Week 4. You guys get a 42-7 win over Weaver in the region. First off, just talk about just that game overall. Play back on the hill at home, big-time win.
Well, it makes the show more pleasant, that's for sure. We had a really good week last week. I mean, and from Monday to Friday was the best week we put together this season, as far as our practice, our preparation, and then of course going into the game. And I was really proud of our players and our coaches for the week that we had, and it all came together right there at the end, with a win over Weaver.
Weaver's obviously a team that you know really well, as far as you've played them a lot of different circumstances and whatnot. Was there anything that you saw out of them that you knew, hey, this is a good place where we can stack up another region win and get to a point where we can really start to advance our season? Well,
Weaver had a couple of tough losses coming into the game. But we knew that they were going to play us hard because, this was a region game. They needed to win this region game. For sure. And so we had to be, take them serious and be focused on them. And sure enough, they came in the game and they fought hard. I thought Coach Hamby and his staff were prepared, and I thought that the Weaver team played us hard like they always do. Right. And I was really happy with how our players stepped up, and countered that, and came out with a good win. And we were able to play a lot of our players in the game too. So that also helps, down the road as far as experience.
For sure, and we'll get into that, especially after we see the highlights. When you guys, take the field every week, of course, every team wants to improve this time of year, try to get better each week. Talk about some of the ways that you've seen this team progress and get better.
Well, at the first of the year, we had a lot of players going both ways. And we played Lincoln in that jamboree, and we saw that hurt us, and so we tried to fix it the next week against Sachs. Right. And it wasn't quite. And had some guys in there wasn't quite ready to play. To be honest with you. Right. Well, then Labor Day practice that we had, we was out there. It seemed like all day, and probably were, but we were able to find some players to step up in some positions. That made our starting lineup solid. Right. And so we were able to go into the Glencoe game with our starting lineup that we're settled on now. And of course played Glencoe lights out and had chances to win the game. Sure. And then of course played Pleasant Valley, and then played Weaver. But we've had the same starting lineup for 3 weeks in a row now. And it's made a difference. For sure. Because, when you keep changing people in and out, you keep changing personnel, it seems like you never get better. You got to find who the best players are in the best positions, and then get them settled down, and then work them, every week and every practice, and then you're going to start seeing improvement, and that's what we're seeing happen right now.
Absolutely. This is another big region win as well in Class 3A Region 6. Talk about that aspect of it as well.
Well, it puts us, 2-1 in the region. So, the minimum to go to the playoffs in region play is usually 4 wins. Right. Sometimes you get in with 3 with tiebreakers and stuff like that, but it's going to take 4 region wins to get into the playoffs. So right now we're at the halfway point, and it comes at a good time because we're at the halfway point of the season too.
You also have another big game against Moody coming up. We'll also talk about that as well. Right now, you're outscoring opponents by a large margin over the last 2 weeks. In fact, to be specific, it's 103-14. Just talk about the execution and the way these guys are playing.
Well, we've got some experienced guys. We do. And we got some experienced guys, but we've got experienced guys that are also young too. And the more repetition you get, the better you're going to get at it. Right. And we've got our base offense that we're going to run, and we're going to run it against anybody we play, and then we branch out from there. And just getting those lineups settled, and then the same guys doing the same thing every day, it just makes them better.
Absolutely. Taking a look at the first half highlights. After this, right here on the Panther Pride, you'll see the way that the Wellborn Panthers started out that game against Weaver at home. You'll check that out right here after the break. And welcome back to the Panther Pride. Coach Smith and I are discussing a big 42-7 win over the Weaver Bearcats. And Coach, when you first looked at film, when you first started breaking down some of the things that you wanted to execute against this team, what are some of the things you said, hey, we absolutely need to do this against Weaver?
Well, we wanted to go in the game and play good defense, and that's the first thing and foremost. We wanted to play good defense, and then of course we wanted to run the football against them. And those are the two things that we said that we were going to do going into the game, and we were able to accomplish both of those.
Absolutely. We'll take a look here at the highlights from the Hill over at Wellborn and take a look at coaches as far as, the guys coming out. And obviously it's always great to be able to play at home.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a venue that's second to none to me, and I just feel like we play good up there, and just a real good place for our community and school to be proud of.
It looks like guys get the ball to begin with, and you're able to get on the ground and really use some of your athleticism to run on the inside, and then as well as take it off on the outside as well.
Well, that, and I tell you, our tailback Kevin Mixon's playing a lot better right now. He had close to 200 yards rushing in the game, and it's really the last couple of weeks, well, from the Glencoe game on, it's really come on and really stepped up for us. We worked hard on our kickoff team last week, and we got to continue to work hard on it. We've got to fix that on a few things right there. We just got to get broke down a little bit better when we get down the field and squeeze to the ball a little bit. Defensively, we just played well on defense. We didn't allow a first down in the first half, and we were really proud of that.
Right. And you got a lot of gang-style tackling as well. It seemed like wherever you went, there was a lot of physical play, and that's another big physical play there by Landon.
Right. Landon's a physical player, and we feel like we got a lot of physical players. Yes, we came out to start the game off, and we received and went 3 downs and out, and then we went out there and had a good defensive stop, and then took the ball and had a nice drive in here, and then we ended up throwing this pass here to Corey Tigner, and every week I kind of brag on Corey more and more, but he's just one of those players that has just so improved himself,
right?
And and does a lot of extras, to get itself better. Here we try a ground kick right here to just put the ball on the ground so that they'll minimize their return.
And then once again, you said you didn't give up a first down. It seems like every single time, the ball was trying to go to the outside, to the inside. You had about 7, 8 different hats there on the ball.
Well, we want to run to the football. Our defense, we want to get our call, get lined up correctly right there, and do our technique and run to the football and try to get as many people on the ball as we can right here. Here's a fantastic run that Kevin made on our buck sweep play right there, and thought cut across the field right there, thought he was going to score, and ended up scoring a couple plays later.
And he's such a great weapon because you can really use him on the outside, and you can use him on the inside as well. He runs great between the tackles and when you need him out in the perimeter.
He is a player that has the ability to change to the game. And right here's a big example of it. We have a kickoff return, and the return's actually supposed to go to the right, and he couldn't get back to the right here, so he took it the opposite direction right here and had a great a great kickoff. A great punt return right here. And
right.
Anytime you can get a punt return like that, it's kind of like a deal sealer to the other team right there. It's really a backbreaker for them.
Absolutely. And that's your halftime scores, 28-0. And Coach, you actually got another big touchdown right before the half. Talk about just the way that everything flowed as far as the way the defense played, not really letting Weaver get across the 50-yard line, and then sound offense, sound defense, and then special teams at the very end.
Well, we talked about our points and stuff, but for us, we rather have the shutout than we would all the points. That means a lot to us. So. Right now it's 28-0 right there, and we're really proud of how our kids are playing because we haven't given up any points and haven't given up any first downs, and play well on defense.
When you scouted Weaver, when you saw what they were doing, did they break out anything that you didn't see on film? Was there any adjustments that needed to be made at halftime?
Well, there's always something that they do that's kind of catches you off guard. I think our assistant coaches, Coach Jordan Angle, calls our defense. Bo Wynn assists him in the secondary, and then Coach Manning is our linebacker coach, and Coach Russell's our defensive line coach.
Right.
I think they did a really good job all week long of preparing the kids, defensively for this game. We prepped on them on Sunday and Monday as far as getting ready, for what they did.
Right.
But as far as making the kids, recognize the sets and the plays right there, I think they did an excellent job with that.
Well, Mike Tyson used to always have this phrase that, everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face, then you have to
Absolutely.
change your plan. Do you feel like that was that when you got up 28-0, you had changed their plan a little bit, and now they feel like they, have to pass the ball or different things and opportunities like that?
Well, I've been on that other side.
Right,
I mean, if you coach long enough, you're going, well, I tell people before, I've won 10, lost 10, so, I mean, you go in there and you try to regroup and regroup what you're doing and try to go back to, your fundamental things and reemphasize those to the players and try to go back and start trying to make small goals for yourself. Like, all right, now we're going to get a first down. And once we get the first down, we're going to do this and this and this and try to build it up so you can get across the end zone.
Absolutely. Also, this was a big, as far as region game that sets up before the Moody game.
Absolutely.
When you get to this point of the game and you're up 28-0, is there any part that thinks, hey, we need to maybe run a little vanilla or do anything like that? What's the mindset there? Or is it just, hey, we need to continue to do what we do and get better at that?
Well, I think naturally when your defense is playing as well as it is, you become a little more conservative, and we did.
Right.
We did. We wanted to keep the ball on the ground and run the clock and let the defense win the game for us. And I think that's a natural thing that happens, and that's what we did. And we were able to get another score, get a few more stops, and then we were able to get our B team in there and let them get some good repetition in there. Because nothing beats game experience on Friday.
Right.
Not Monday, but Friday.
Right.
Monday you have your B team games, but when they get out there on the field on Friday night in front of that crowd, it's a lot different.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at second half highlights here on the Panther Pride of Wellborn's big time win over Weaver. We'll also talk about week 5 as well. Keep it right here on the Panther Pride. And back here on the Panther Pride is the week 4 edition. Weaver and Wellborn getting a big 42-7 win, up 28-0 at the half. And Coach, obviously there's always a motivational pep talk speech that happens before the game. There's also a pep talk kind of refocused speech that happens at halftime. What were some of the things you were sharing with your guys?
Well, we went in there and at halftime, and the first thing we talked to them about is make sure that we had our defensive alignments down like they should be, because they did show us a formation that we weren't expecting. Then we came back and then we re-emphasized offensively, our blocking assignments. And, if they line up this way, this is how we got to block this. And if they line up that way, how we're going to block it another way.
Right.
So we did that. And then we talk about this, the game to me is broke down in the first 5 minutes of the game. The 5 minutes right before the half. Right. The first 5 minutes of the third quarter. And the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Right. Those are critical times in a football game. Sure. So we started talking to them about the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, that we need to come out from halftime strong and take care of that. Absolutely. Take a look at the way the first 5 minutes of that third quarter broke down here. And Coach, you obviously got the ball back. Or you kicked the ball off to them, and then you pin them deep here. Yeah, and had a really good kickoff and went down there and covered the kick, and then we were wanting to do that. Then they came out here and they ran the option play right here, and we took the dive and ran to the ball good, and you see all those black jerseys and helmets getting to the football. I was proud of that. And then we come out, I think they punted us pretty deep down through there, and then we want to take a drive and drive the ball down the field. And here comes a sophomore, Jordan Montgomery, here on a double handoff, and we're just trying to drive the ball down the field. Right here, we threw a little back out of the backfield pass right here and got it out a little farther. And then here comes Kevin again. He's really running the ball hard. Got to tighten that ball up a little bit though. So we're going to work on that this week. And here we go, Jordan. We come back here and run our double handoff, and Jordan takes it around, and Landon, our quarterback, makes a huge block right there, and we go in the end zone, and that puts us up right now 34-0. And obviously, at this point of the game, you have to start thinking about, hey, this, we might need to get some other guys in, some younger guys in. And how does all that kind of play out as you see yourself executing so well? Well, we came out there in the first 5 minutes and did so well right there. Then we went out there and we played, we played defense again with our first defense. And then when we went back on offense, we started trying to sub out, just sparingly and not the whole bunch at one time. Right. And we're trying to start to do the same thing on defense now. We're trying to get some other faces in there without changing the whole lot. There was Corey took on a block real good right there, and Landon come out, just overran it a little bit here. And And then Weaver made some plays and got inside, got to our 10-yard lines, which was good. We start the fourth quarter having to play goal line defense, and that was good for us in the future because we got some game experience playing goal line. And here we are, we're playing well here and get a good interception right here by Devontae Walker. And now we come out here and we wanted to get the ball outside the 20-yard line, and we do right here. And Kevin breaks it out here, and we get to, I think, about the 35, and now we put the entire B team in and let them finish the game out.
Right, and you have to, love these times, especially when, like you were saying, nothing beats Friday night experience, and you can't replicate that in any other fashion. You can't do it in practice, you can't do it in a B team game. You can only do it on Friday night when they have opportunities like
Absolutely, and there was Pat Harris. He came in here and he scored, and we keep now. Once we put the B team in, we put them in. They play the special teams. They play defense, and we're not. Once we take those guys out, we're not going to put them back in because we've got B team special team plays as far as kickoff return and all that. So we let them play the whole thing. So once they got in there, I think they got in like 10-16 in the fourth quarter. They played the rest of it out. So they got to do all the aspects of it, offense, defense, and all the kicking games too. So we're just happy to get all that in with them.
Absolutely. I mean, we always talk about defense, and you obviously want that goose egg, but obviously you saw that B team was playing still the starters for Weaver, and they were trying to make plays there at the end.
Absolutely, and yes, we want the shutout, but once we put the B team players in, even if they get scored on, we're not going to throw the starters back in too.
Right.
That's a learning experience for those B team players.
Right.
Now they got to fight back and try to score too. So when the game got into the fourth quarter, and we had the ball backed up in our own inside our 10. Once we got it up there into what we call the freewheeling zone, then we were able to put the B team in, let them finish the game out, and whatever the score ends up, then it ends up. But that now it becomes a B team game.
Right. We saw a lot of the highlights from Kevin Mixon. We saw some runs from Landon McChristy. Talk about some other key performers that maybe we didn't see. Maybe they didn't make highlight worthy or highlight level plays, but they were consistent throughout the entire game.
Well, I thought our offense and defensive line play was better this week than what it's been. I think our defensive line really had a good game.
Right.
I think our offensive line is coming along. It really is. We like I said, we were juggling players on our offense and defensive line, and then once we've gotten that settled, we've really starting to see improvement.
Right.
And it's not against just the good teams or the teams that are having a hard time right now. We're showing improvement week to week, and that's what we're trying to coach them up to do. It's not about our opponent.
Right.
It's about making yourself better.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. This is another big region win. It's another big region opponent. Obviously, every region win, and you don't want to look ahead of the playoffs and everything like that, but these kind of wins are significant just in case anything kind of crazy or fluky happens at the end of the season.
Well, right now, we're sitting at 2-1, and plus the last 2 weeks, Pleasant Valley and Weaver. Now those are Calhoun County games,
right? And
those are rival games, and we got to get up for that. And so that made it, made both of those the last 2 weeks, got us up because those are 2 local teams that not only are in our region, but those are rival games that we've got to win.
Absolutely. And then finally, whenever you look at just the way the schedule works out, we'll dive into Moody here in a little bit. Obviously, you have a hard region game, and then you dive into Class 5A football. Just talk about just the kind of mental preparation that it takes.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to be at our best because Moody's a 5A school, and they're going to come in there platooned, have offense and a defense, and we still have kids that are going both ways.
Right.
But hey, this is a non-region game, and it's time. It's a chance for us to step up into a larger classification and let our kids see what it's like to play against bigger schools. And we're excited about it. We're excited about the challenge.
Absolutely. We'll talk a lot more Moody, a lot more Week 5 as the Wellborn Panthers step out of region play. We'll have a lot more here on Panther Pride. And welcome back to the Panther Pride, our final segment. We always like to look ahead and coach, Week 5. We talked about it earlier. You step out of region play, you schedule a big-time opponent in Moody. First off, talk about the mentality, knowing at the beginning of the season, hey, Moody's, they're going to have maybe 3 times more people than we are and whatnot, but the mentality of scheduling an opponent like that out of the region.
Well, we couldn't find an opponent. That's one reason we're playing up so far. But our first 5 and 10 games, for first, 5th, and 10th playing dates right there, we really struggled this past year finding opponents. Now, of course, Sack's the first ball game, and that's a good rivalry right there. And Jonathan came through, and we're playing them the first ball game.
For sure.
The 5th ball game, though, we really struggled trying to find an opponent. And Coach Brown at Moody called, and he was looking for a team to play the 5th ball game. And, he coached at Jacksonville State when I was playing there right there. And we hesitated at first because it's 2 classifications, but as we looked around, we couldn't find anybody else. So then we scheduled them up. And, look, I think it's a good challenge. They're not too far driving distance. So when we do have to go over there right there, it's not going to be too bad a trip. I think that they're going to be very well coached. I think that they're going to have a chance to be a playoff team in their region. And if they come down there and we can get after them and play well right there, it's going to say a lot about our program.
Absolutely. Whenever I see these kind of games in the schedule, the first thing I think of is if you handle it the right way, so to speak, you can almost handle it like a playoff game, as far as like just the travel, the getting up, the opponent that you're not necessarily used to, people and students and whatnot that you're not necessarily used to like you would be like a Sachs or a Weaver or teams around here. Is that this kind of the same way that you look at it?
Well, yeah, I look at it like it's a 5A team. We're 3A. They're going to come to our field, and we don't have anything to lose out of it. The only thing that we can do is gain, and that's the way I'm looking at it right there. And plus, I think our kids are excited about that. They like the challenge too. And for years we were a 5A school. So I mean, it's good to get up there and play in some of those 5A schools that we would normally have been playing, without the annexation and all that had happened.
Exactly. Some of the things that you want to just get better at this week, obviously, every coach wants to get better at everything, but some of the things that you really want to see carry over from Monday practice, Tuesday practice, Wednesdays, Thursday, into the game on Friday.
Well, we talked about having back-to-back good practices. And last week we had a good practice on Monday, good one on Tuesday, good one on Wednesday, and had a good one on Thursday. And then, of course, played a good ball game on Friday. Now we need to have back-to-back good weeks. We need to put together another good practice week this week, and I think he'll carry over for the game on Friday. So, I mean, I think what we've got to do is just keep building on what we've got started. I mean, I think the turning point for us in the season was our Labor Day practice, because then during that practice we were able to find people to fill in spots that hadn't been. And then we really went in and played well in that Glencoe game. And then after that, it seems like we're continuing to get better, and we've got to continue to do that.
Absolutely. Final question for you. You step out of the region in this week, but you get a chance to see how everybody else did in the last week of region play before the break. Obviously, you had the Glencoe Piedmont game, and then you had Pleasant Valley. Just talk about just the way this region is kind of shaking out.
Well, Glencoe's the front runner right now. They're 3-0 in the region, and then Piedmont, us, and Westbrook are 2-1 in the region right now. And then the rest of the teams are either 1-2 or 0-3. And I think it's starting to shake out, kind of like what everybody thought it would be. But now there's still a lot of football yet to be played, and any time that contact is involved, anything can happen. So you can't take anything for granted, and you got to focus on one week at a time, because if you ever get ahead of yourself, that's the first time you slip up and gonna lose.
Absolutely, Coach. It was a pleasure being on this
week
here on the Panther Pride. Chad Barnett is back next week. Go watch the Wellborn Panthers as they face Moody in Class 5A next week. That's it for us. We'll be back next week on Panther Pride.
Thanks for your support.